Hey guys, how's it going? I just wanted to do this video just to give you guys a little insight on how I started the East Coast Romper, when I started it, how long I've been doing it, why I started doing it, and all that good stuff. So, quick little video. East Coast Romper has been around since 1994. I started it mainly because I was bored as a young teenager. Um, I loved music and pretty much more out of boredom than anything. I had a lot of record stores around my area, um, and I knew some local bands and stuff, but like I said, I was really young in 94. And I had a huge supporter in my mom who said to me, well, you can write, so why don't you write about what you love? And what I loved was listening to music. I grew up on music. She was a huge Elvis fan. She was into the rock scene in the 80s with me. Um, Me and her loved Bon Jovi. So, I mean, it was it was something to do to keep me out of trouble, and I don't know, put my creative uses to work, I guess. So, I was not computer savvy back then. It wasn't like a huge thing. So what I did was I bought magazines. That's how I started. Metal Edge, stuff like that. Went to the back of the magazine and looked at addresses of band fan clubs. There was local bands from California who had like P.O. boxes, labels, anything like that. And I sat on my kitchen floor and wrote millions of letters letting people know about what I was going to start. I mailed those out and I waited and waited and waited. I usually got like a letter back from like fan clubs and saying like thanks for supporting the band, but that was about it. Then I started getting a few cassette demos from local bands in California. And I started listening to them and started writing my opinions on what they sounded like, what I liked about them, what I didn't like about them. So with that, I started to collect different reviews and stuff like that to put in the magazine. Pretty much it was cut and paste. I would get their picture, I'd put it on a piece of paper, type out the review and stick it there. I found a printing company and pretty much put it all together like a puzzle. And this is what it actually looked like. Like, this was like I would draw, like, that's what it looked like. It was not anything special, like the inside of it. Like it was cut and paste, like yeah, that's what it was. I went to the printing company that I found, printed like 100 out. What I would do is any band that was in the magazine that month or those 3 months that I would put it out, I'd mail them some copies, and then I would go to my local record stores around town and just leave them there free. Read it, whatever. I did that for months upon months upon months upon months. Never went to shows, never did anything like that, but the more letters I sent out, the more stuff I would get. The more stuff I would get, I would put into the content. The magazine would get bigger, and then I would go and print it again, probably like every 3 months or so. We would go print out stuff, and I would put it out there. So that's how it mainly got started. Once I got my license and got a car and stuff, started going to local shows, started doing some stuff on local shows and stuff like that. But the more content I would get and the more my name got out there, the bigger like I would get stuff from other bands. The one thing that kind of changed, and this wasn't, I don't even think they got like a magazine or anything, but I loved Candlebox back in the day. And I must have written their fan club or done something because it must have been a Metal Edge back then. There was one day, and I remember this like it was yesterday, although it was like years ago. There was one day I was sitting at home watching MTV when MTV played videos, and Candlebox was on, and I was rocking out, phone rang, and when I answered the phone, guy said that he was the singer of Candlebox, and I thought it was a dream. I was like, dude, I'm watching you on TV right now. But he just called because apparently the fan club gave him certain phone numbers or people that wrote to the fan club, and he was calling people just to say thanks for supporting my band, blah 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 blah. That was my first like actual, I guess, chat with somebody that was more than a local person around here. It was pretty cool. Let me tell you that, and I talked about it for weeks upon weeks. But after that, I started. It was just local things happening. If bands came to town, yet again, I was young, tried to get into shows and stuff like that, but a lot of times I couldn't get into shows because I was not 21 yet. So fast forward to like 2001 or so, I met a person that did web design, and she actually set me up with a website. Now we're in my 20s, we could go to shows. Somebody told me, why don't you start sending out stuff to record labels and see if, a band will come about. Actually, before the site even got started, somebody told me that. And the first interview I did on the print magazine for a band that was signed was Brother Kane. It was a phone interview. I was scared shitless because I never talked to anyone like this before, so I was kind of nervous. It went well though, and I did sound like a dork. I still have the audio interview, and I listen to it sometimes, and Lord, it was bad. But they were awesome dudes, answered everything, the generic questions that I had. And that was my first, like, signed national band that was on the radio or MTV or stuff like that. The first time I actually interviewed somebody in person was Fear Factory. Roadrunner Records actually, I guess, adopted or let the East Coast Romper into their world. And a lot of bands from Roadrunner I grew to love, adore, make friends with, and support till this day. The first band actually that they let me go see, review the show, chat with the band was Fear Factory. That was pretty stellar. Like I said, nervous as hell meeting them, but they're just normal dudes now that, I did it and everything went well. Typo Negative was another one. Spine Shank, 36 Crazy Fists, who I come to adore and love. God, there's so many. El Nino, so many from Roadrunner, and I give Roadrunner all the credit in the world because the Romper probably grew because of that label. I was their street team person. It was just fun. After Roadrunner, which was kind of like not a major label but a pretty decent label, I got to be friends with more people at Sony Records, at Virgin Records, and that's mid 2000s, I would say, is when everything took off. And I was kind of doing the website kind of full time. I was working, but yet again, let me just tell you, I was not getting paid. Yes, not getting paid, but I was doing it because I loved going to shows. I loved meeting people. I liked talking to people. And it was just fun. I got into shows for free. I got free merch. I got free all this, but it was not a paying gig. So for anybody that's looking to start something or struggling through the years, trying to think, how am I going to make money doing this? Nowadays, I guess there's ways to do it. Back then, unless you were working for a major magazine or something, you weren't getting paid. The record industry, the music industry has changed drastically now, but back then, no. It was free tickets, free this, free that. But I just loved doing it. I loved going out. I loved meeting people, and stuff like that. So the main reason I kind of started it, like I said, was out of boredom. But it also helped me tremendously, with self-confidence, with getting out there and actually chatting with people. Um, I'm not a real big people person. And I never like talking in public or doing stuff. That's why I don't do many videos either. But this took me out of my comfort zone, and I had to talk to people face to face. I had to get into those uncomfortable situations to become comfortable. Although I have to say, out of every band that I interviewed, which was a lot, probably 1% of them were not cool. Everybody else, very down to earth, very cool. Like I said, I've made some really good friends and people along the way. So that's pretty rad. And I got to hear a lot of music probably that I would have never heard before if I was just listening to the radio or doing stuff like that. So it helped in all those ways. I'm just happy it helped me with my self-confidence in that aspect. And it got me to do what I love, which is writing. So on to the next thing. If you're going to start this, one, do it because you want to do it. Don't do it because you want to meet rock stars, or you think you're going to become multi-famous, which you could, but I mean, honestly, it is what it is. You got to have a passion for it. I did the website till 2007, and then I realized that I can't be out every single night, going to shows and trying to work and trying to maintain bills and all that good stuff. So I took a little hiatus and did the adult thing. But 2013, I kind of missed it again, so I started a blog. And that's where I am right now. 2013 through 2015, I kind of did the blog. And then I took a little time off again. 2016, I came back again. So it's an on and off kind of thing. And every time I take a little break, it's like rebuilding what I already built again, which is frustrating. But in the long run, there's still people out there that I know, so it helps a little bit. But what I would just say is do it because you love the music, and you like knowing about what's inside of musicians' brains and stuff like that. I do interviews where I try to not ask the generic questions, and that's a main thing that I hear from a lot of bands, is that my questions sometimes are a little different than the typical interview, which I'm kind of proud of, because I don't want to be the same old same. I want to ask questions that are a little different, and that's what you guys should look upon. Get your own niche of how to interview, and that will help you greatly too. But overall, that's how the Romper started. Print magazine to website to now blog. I wish I had all my old stuff archived on the computer. I don't. It's printed. It's sitting in my house right now. Audio cassette interviews that aren't online, which I wish I could kind of get online. So if you guys have any ideas on how I can do that and transport them over, let me know, because I mean, there's tons. But a lot of memories in my house right now from years back, and the friends I made, the people I met, and just the cool things that I did in my 20s, which a lot of people probably haven't done in their 20s, but it was pretty rad. So that's where I am now. 2018 is here. I started it again. Like I said, there's not a lot of content on here, but it will change if I can figure out how to get everything up. So if you have any ideas, let me know. But yeah, if you're gonna start it because the bands need all the help that they can get, especially now in the music industry word of mouth in marketing and social media is key to them. So, yeah, that's a little insight on the Romper. Gives you a little insight on me and how I started it, and I hope you enjoyed it and keep checking back on the site.